Repeat after me. I don't know.
I don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Here we go.
Here we go.
I don't know.
I don't know.
You don't know.
We don't know.
You don't know.
We don't know.
Here we go. It really speaks to us Hawaiians, understanding the universe has one real creed, and that is discovery. This universe was planned that way. The only one, a few of those massive bubbles that help take on all universes. This one was particularly designed to express how love prevails all trauma.
Bingo.
Bingo. And it's done through the evolution of the human experience as well as other civilizations. Yeah. I think the most important thing to say now is to give you a place or a stage of frequency that would be supportive of your intention. It's real simple to learn. It's like love is here and love is everywhere. And why that's important to your stage is to create and call all that is wanting to be to that light and to release all that doesn't want to be there. So, it's real simple. Here we go. He aloha e. 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 He aloha Relieve the feeling of saying that word, e aloha e. And over the time that you're on this island, anything you see that responds with love is e aloha e. E aloha e. Really is a powerful way of clearing the path to your intention. Part of the evening we're going to spend it, I don't feel like it's too complicated, but we're going to spend a lot of time in this idea of clearing. Americans call that forgiving. We're going to have a very simple process, but before we do need to set the standard of what we're forgiving. Yeah, that would help. Yeah, well, I got to tell you, there's only two kinds of forgiving. Now we're leaving. It really is. Yeah. And, you know, I want to express to you how valuable it is to come and participate in a culture that still exists because its intelligence is an emotion. It's not just intellect. It's the emotional intelligence that I am here to share with you. That undenying truth that's at the na'au, the gut. And it's complete authority over the and to express that by understanding that the purpose of our experience in this universe and on this planet is to serve in relationships to bring you discovery. That's the tale of the university. The universe that we're living in. Take a breath. I wanted to share with you something that's special to our culture. I'm going to tell you ahead of time that you cannot really find this anymore other than in museums. And when you look at this in museums, you'll find that the thing I'm going to show you is used to scare the tourists. As soon as you walk into the museum, to the left or usually to the right, there's a whole collection of these stones. And they were considered the stone that you would put the hair of a child in and the child would die. They would be collected and taken away. Because it's a very well way of empowering and we call them the Oholeo stones. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. This is a bowl of hau. The hau bowl in Hawaii, where all bowls represent the vagina. Because all of the universe comes out of the vagina. Meaning, only consciousness is extended through the woman. Physical consciousness on this planet. So that's why this is called that. This is the very source of representing what the human body is capable of doing. This particular is called the Kahuna cup, the Kahuna stone. And you know, I gotta tell you, the best way to do it in English is to really appreciate that. This is the CD disc device of 10,000 years old. It really is. It holds a vibration, it tells you stories. It's mine talking about. And I always honor it when I'm in presentation. I feel very special because it's the only one I know that is not in a museum prison. Yeah, it's kept in our family. My name is Harry Uhane Jim. Uhane has been a name in the lineage for 4,000 years. Yeah, through that line you can hear it in many, many chants. It represents a lineage that goes to the mountain of Kahili Mountain Park on the island of Kauai, where Adam and Eve, Ku and Hina, landed and began their purpose. Unlike the culture and consciousness of the original Adam and Eve, they were chosen to run out of Eden for sake of shame and guilt. You guys remember that story? Mm-hmm. Kuhina is not the same. I'll leave you an article I wrote for a local magazine to express how our original Adam and Eve, Ku, Adam, Hina, Eve, was arrived on Kahili Mountain Park on the island of Kauai. And they were tasked and charged to voluntarily leave Eden and go forward in their life without the congress of any guilt or shame, because they were told to go out and spread love from Eden, and they were told what I'm told, which is to, and here's the word, anchor joy, so that earth may be nurtured and bloom heaven here on earth.
Oh.
That's their game. And so and so they got out there in the real world, and the first thing they will notice, us Hawaiians as Adam and Eve, the first identity was that when they left Eden, Kahili Mountain Park, the top of that range, and went into the rest of Kauai and the rest of the world, they always found that nobody followed them out of Eden. No animal, no bird, no butterfly, no nothing. Because the animals were already in Eden on earth, and still are. It is only the human experience that is not. It's funny. And for good reason, we Hawaiians truly appreciate this possibility. That Adam and Eve was experiencing their purpose is to spread aloha on this planet. Take a breath. It's a real thing to us. And that's why I teach what I teach. That my Adam and Eve came out and did a different thing. Spread aloha. And one of the things we want to appreciate is over multi-lives and over multi-cultures, there are many stories that carry all through time. That particular one is true. The one that the rock calls to is that moment where we as souls came together to hold hands as the creators of this universe we live in, called to the declaration that this universe be called in service through relationships to discover that this universe be the universe known as what if. And it is an intimate experience, an infinite experience of what's possible as you express light in this universe. And all you need to know, and all you will know, and all you have known, is actually already in your blood. Coco. I was about to express that in a different expression. 500 years ago we had a visitor named Powwow in a very peaceful, almost agrarian and definitely vegetarian lifestyle that was living in Hawaii, that Uhane period. Then came a man named Powwow. He came from Tonga. He swam, he left the town of Tonga, he was the king, and he was actually not Tongan, he was white. Yeah. Here's the thing about Tongans in Hawaiian culture. We have recognized, and this is really critical, that most Polynesians have a upepe nose, is a flat. Yeah? The Tongans had an Egyptian nose, pointed around at the end. And when they came, that pyramid culture, yeah, and when they came from Tonga, he left the Tongan for a vacation to go see Hawaii because his son killed his other son. In grief, he fled to the Big Island here. And when he landed, he asked everybody, who's in charge? And everybody said, what's that? Somebody's got to be in charge. Oh, you mean the chief? Oh, well, he's off over there. He'll show up if you want him to. And he says, okay. So he went back and he got a crew, actually his army, of 10,000 men. And they came up here to the Big Island. And I'm going to stop that part of the story and tell you that when you're at Volcano National Park, there is a long 20-mile run all the way down to the beach. Originally, in 1964, they had built a big hollow, triangle. And then there was a beautiful museum in there. To the left and towards Puna, there was Ulu, which means this was the red heiau. And it was made and created 500 years ago by this man named Pauai. Because he came here and he said, you're the chief? Chief said, yes, come. They put his body upon a rock in that heiau, which is about a fourth of the size of this room. And they said to that body, we'll take your heart. So they cut open his heart, lifted his heart, and showed everybody in the community that they had the authority of blood. Because before that, Hawaiians never drew blood. It's so post-traumatic stress that it lasted 700 years. I'm not kidding you.
Wow.
Yeah. And I want to tell you with all truth that you've heard this word before, Kamehameha schools. It's the collective, I'm truly telling you, of the 2%. 2%, you know how America says, oh, the 2% is all in charge? Well, Kamehameha was from that lineage and ran this culture as pyramid, meaning someone is more important than the other. It really did shift the culture. So that night, remember that night that they took the heart out? All the spiritual people got together and said, Perry, what's up? Like, what's up? You know?
Yeah.
Like, what? Freaking. They all channeled the same message. My name is not only Pele, my name is your mother. And your purpose here shall be discovered when I cross my powers over that heiau. And this is why I tell you about this. Is that heiau was actually covered in June of 1991. And after 37 different flows that went around and uptown and inside and outside, it never went over. That particular night was the night, 3 days before we were there photography and doing some clearing. And that particular night was that projected prophecy that Pele had channeled to the entire collective of kahunas. And that prophecy said that we have come to the complete maturity of our purpose here, us Hawaiians. And that the next phase of our expansion is to continue to spread the message of aloha. And how that will happen is when I cover that heiau, the message of aloha will be multiplied many, many times because the blood will spread out. And when she says blood, she means sex. The expansion of the culture that has been anchored in these states, in this island, now extends across the planet. It is true we had 500,000 to 800,000 people before Captain Cook showed up. It's also true that we went down to 40,000. And it is equally true that today, and in 1991, when that thing covered, we had 4 million part Hawaiians expressing aloha through their blood on this planet.
Oh, my.
The seeds that are real, that you're asked to pass through this school, are the same seeds, with the same result. Not because it's time, but because it's timeless. Before you begin your workshop, the one channeled message I'm receiving is to clearly express how valuable it is to appreciate that this community called humanity is the youngest of all civilizations in this universe. That while they're many much older, they're all represented here in accomplishment, not just spirit. Take a breath. Who understands what I just said? In accomplishment, not just spirit. Accomplishment meaning we have witnessed the prophecy as a truth. We have witnessed ourselves as the expansion. And we're capable of carrying the map into this dimension. Can we agree that's what we want to do? Aloha! Take a breath. And then again. I want to just share with you common sense expression and skill of channeling. Most important thing is oxygen. Because it is most comforting to your body as it experiences the two currents. The one of your being and the one of your spirit. So it's a couple of really important things coming to simple. What my family and friends think of me is none of my business. We share the intersections of love and growth. We do not converge our sovereignties.
Converge our sovereignty. Excuse me, I gotta digest that one. I'd like to write it down.
To converge our sovereignties is to take a path without your authenticity. Remember now, you have to be yourself because everybody else is taken.
I don't know which self I'm going to be the next few days.
I want you to express this moment we're sharing laughter with as a pinnacle of multi-life commitment.
Pinnacle of multi-life commitment.
Yeah, this is the moment you realize that Hawaiian is a time in your experience. I haven't met anybody who comes here who hasn't been here in another time. I'm not that lucky. Almost every single person I know that I've met, there are signatures in their being of being here. Yes.
It's true. It is so true.
Yeah. So you're not visiting, you're returning home. Take a breath. I am returning home. Say this.
I am returning home.
And things have changed in your home. I'm about to show you the location issues. Okay. Let's look at where we are on this plateau. 700 feet elevation. Below us comes to 200 feet. From about 100 feet in elevation to sea level. This is the land of Ke'au, the sacred water, the sister of Pele. And her sacred waters is what you experience at the hot pond. I want you to consider the possibility of lifting off the first 10 feet of all of that land called Kapoho, which means the puka, the hole, poho, Kapoho. The pukas were referred to the streams of heat that would come from Mauna Kea, Mauna Loa, and Kilauea mix and express itself at the east gate. I want to tell you something. You know that land is so hot. And I'll tell you what I mean by hot. It's hot from Opikau all the way to Hawaiian beaches. It's hot under there. Okay, take a breath. It is so radiant that it fills this channel we have from all the way to Hilo, all the way to Volcano, with the largest and richest fleet, ahi, known to the world, right in this deep trench. Yeah, and just over the trench, 18 miles, is the next island.
Wow.
And I reached my
Feel
island.
it,
I will
just
have a
feel
life on the next island. Got a lot of work here.
Because it flows through our bodies.
Absolutely. It absolutely flows through our bodies as heat. But here's a key understanding of it though, okay? Really key. Everywhere you've been across the planet, there has been locations of vortexes that stabilize over many times in your culture and in your group. No so here in Ke'au, the land of Pele and Ke'au. It's because the rivers and rains and the magnetic force of this region create vortexes that are always moving. Moving and responding to the moon, and mostly responding to the culture.
The culture?
The culture. The culture that is the construct that's happening here. Let me explain to you that one of the fabulous things architects, the people who go look for dead bones and stuff, they haven't even begun to appreciate this region. I know several homes and large as you go down this hill. Yeah? You'll find caves on their property. As once they enter, they go for miles, and they are homes of all Hawaiians that would live in caves in this region. Because as soon as the water fell, and what genius is this? That all you have to do is walk in the cave and your fire's there in your house, and there's never a rain issue. Is your whole family can have a cave. I mean, this is really real. And it's not known to everybody because it's not known, okay?
Another cause for laughter?
But it is true that you stay in a location present that has a multi-life experience. What do I mean by that? Nobody in Puna in old day didn't know this was the gate to get to Earth. And what that means is, by legend, is the space would be that the spirit would come and land at Kapoho, right there at the east gate, and they would be here for just a little while because the rainbow would take them all over to Nihau. Next to Nihau is an island called Lehua. It's mostly a big rock, 6 acres big, but that's where from Kapoho, the rainbow would land, souls would get there, they would leave from Lehua and go to what we understand is the Kahilono. Kahilono means the first finger of God. And that's because when you would go 800 miles and catch the last leg of that rainbow path in spirit, there would be an island about 3/4 of an acre big sticking out of the Pacific Ocean pointing up. One finger like this. That's where that island was. And so every training of spiritual guidance would require you to navigate that path on your own spirit. I want to share with you how important it is to know the critical base of Hawaiian culture. That there are two worlds. Au, which is the one we're living in, and Po, which is the one everybody's living in. What you know in Au is very, very small. What you know in Po is all that is to be known. Okay. Po is night, Au is day. It is a celebration to go up and wake up in the morning and greet E Ala E, the sun, and say thank you for being here. But it is also a validation that you just spent your living life in dreamland known as Po. And all resources are available to you if you have a relationship with yourself. Po will come to you consistently. Po being the space. I want to ask you to take on this word. Kinaole. 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 Say to each other, Kinaole. In Hilo, it's actually split. There's a road called Kinaole that splits the town. Towards the ocean, towards the mountain. Runs across the whole length of the town. Check it out next time you go to Hilo, called Kinaole.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what it means. It means to be at the right place, at the right time, doing the right thing for the right person, the first time.